Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause again, and I wanted to do a video about a new law in Michigan about cyberbullying that was just signed by the governor, so it's actually being enacted. So, cyberbullying is now a crime in the state of Michigan, punishable with up to 10 years in prison. Be careful what you post on the internet in the state of Michigan. Governor Rick Snyder signed a bill this week that defines cyberbullying as a misdemeanor offense that can carry a jail term of up to 93 days, along with $500 in potential fines. And for people who are watching who may be international, in the United States, you can get either up to 93 days in jail and just that, or you can get up to $500 in fines and just that, or they can actually give you the jail time and the fines. So it's it's not just one or the other. You can have a combination, or you can get the max of both. Um, but anyways, as the Metro Times reported, the new law takes effect in March and can lead to even greater punishment for those who show repeated harassment, or in cases that have more severe consequences. In the case of a repeat offenders, it can be elevated to a felony with up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. In cases where cyberbullying leads to a victim's death, the penalties can be bumped up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. I think this is definitely harsh um, because a person who's cyberbullying does not deserve 10 years in prison, even if it leads to uh, someone's death. I mean, you know, if someone commits suicide or something, it's not like the bully knew that was going to happen. The new law comes as cyberbullying has been in the spotlight nationwide, being blamed for a spate of suicides among young targets. In one case, a 13-year-old Michigan girl took her own life after being targeted for bullying by her peers on social media. Many called for the bullies to face charges, but police at the time noted that they did not violate any laws, the Metro Times reported. That led to the creation of the law, which had bipartisan support in Michigan. As the Telegraph, I just want to point out too, you know, um, that she bears some responsibility for her own actions. Nobody forced her to commit suicide. Obviously, this is tragic, but if we're talking about the issue and how to solve this issue, I'm not sure this is the right way to go about it. As the Telegraph reported, but by the way, I do think that cyberbullying can be a problem where, people just target others and, you know, where they are basically cyber stalking and harassing in that manner. Um, but I would never go up to, you know, $5,000 fines or 5 years in jail and or 10 years in prison, like, or excuse me, 5 to 10 years in prison. That's ridiculous. The new law, or as the Telegraph reported, a recent study found that victims of cyberbullying are twice as likely to self-harm or attempt suicide. Researchers at the university, okay, another thing that's interesting. If you look at like the studies that are done or the stats that are cited, a lot of times self-harm or attempted suicide, that's the same thing. Like all acts of self-harm are generally considered an attempted suicide, and that's how they inflate attempted suicide statistics. I actually wrote a paper on this. Researchers at the University of Oxford, Swansea, and Birmingham reviewed studies on cyberbullying that included more than 150,000 subjects under the age of 25, finding that cyberbullying increased suicide risks by 2.3 times. I do believe that cyberbullying will lead to a higher risk of suicide, but a lot of the answer is to um, teach especially the younger generations, how to deal with criticism and how to deal with people that, aren't treating them well. Um, the reaction, people say it's blaming the victim to teach, potential victims, but it's actually empowering the potential victim before they are a victim. Researchers called for a response that attacked cyberbullying on multiple fronts. Prevention of cyberbullying should be included in school anti-bullying policies alongside broader concepts such as digital citizenship, online peer support for victims, how an electronic bystander might appropriately intervene, and more specific interventions such as how to contact mobile phone companies and internet service providers to block, educate, or identify users. That's some scary shit. I mean, we have to look at the internet as a public space where if you're blocked out from the internet, your voice is blocked out. You have lost your right to free speech. You have lost the ability to carry out your First Amendment right. And um, so to target, to have service providers targeting people who are labeled cyberbullies, and a lot of these people are going to be wrongly labeled cyberbullies. That's evil. That was the approach taken by lawmakers in Michigan with the new law identifying cyberbullying as any message posted in a public media forum intended to place a person in fear of bodily harm or expresses intent to commit violence against the person. Well, okay, first of all, expresses intent should be, with the reasonable ability of that it could actually be carried out, because saying a joke or, you know, telling someone to go kill themselves or telling someone, you know, I'm gonna kill you or something like that in a facetious manner, obviously a lot of these people are not actually meaning it. So very few of these statements are actually carried out. So to go around and put people in jail for this, just imagine the damage that jailing these people do. Because, like, these are not hardened criminals. And you're going to, actually, I say jail, but it's actually prison. You're going to put a perfectly good citizen in prison for 5 years. You know what's going to happen to them when they get out? They're going to be fucked up. You're going to have ruined their life. And you know what they're going to do? Turn to more crime. You're going to create criminals. You're going to create a huge fucking problem that doesn't need to be, created. So be careful what you wish for here. And any message posted in a public media forum intended to place a person in fear of bodily harm, that's so fucking subjective. And how do you know someone's intentions? As he signed the law, Snyder said cyberbullying can be just as damaging as traditional bullying, so it was important that lawmakers deemed it as a crime. With this bill, we are sending a message that bullying of any kind is not tolerated in Michigan, Snyder said. Well, Melania Trump will be happy, maybe. I'd, I don't think that Melania Trump has commented on this, but I would love to see her reaction. I think that the way I would deal with this through the law is with harassment laws. Like, if you're constantly going around the internet and making fun of someone or, you know, harming someone's reputation, other people, so, so that those people will make fun of them and stuff, and you're not only frequenting the same common websites, but you're also going to websites that you'd never gone to before just to find them and say, when they block you, you go to another website where they don't have you blocked. That kind of stuff is like, I can see that being harassment, but that would be like a small fine, you know, disorderly conduct or along those lines. I don't see how in the world you get to. I mean, the misdemeanor offense is even 93 days, like in jail. That could get you fired easily. So, yeah, I think Michigan's going to be creating a lot of problems, and it's really up to the executive branch to say this law is bullshit and not enforce it. You know, the police have the option not to arrest people for this. They have the option, um, the prosecutors have the option, like the district attorneys, not to prosecute people for it. So let's just have the executive branch take over here and say, fuck this law. That's what I'd like to see. But, or I do think that there is a chance that this law could be overturned in the courts as unconstitutional. So I'm sure that will be brought up at some point because they're really targeting you for expressing your First Amendment speech. And your First Amendment speech, you know, you can't say just anything. There are some small limits to it, but overall, it is protected by the Constitution as a right, which is the strongest possible protection. Um, so, you know, there are a lot of rights we have that don't come from the Constitution, such as like, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can't be raped. But obviously, raping someone is still illegal. But there is something in the Constitution saying you have the right to free speech or you have the right to bear arms. And so it's even harder to limit those types of rights. So, anyways, this is, I think this law is bullshit. I wouldn't be totally against, in terms of nuance, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will hate me for this, I wouldn't be totally against some sort of small, like, harassment law that it, is enacted to curb some cyberbullying, but overall, we just have to teach people to, you know, be, to have thicker skin. So, um, anyways, hopefully this is only used in the most extreme of cases. And if you're traveling in Michigan, keep this in mind. Don't be freaking messing with people because they can put your ass in prison. Anyways, have a good one, guys.